Happy Memorial Day. We wish you the best on this holiday, and we'll talk a little bit more about Memorial Day at the end. But today we want to start off with John 14, verses 15 through 17. It says, "If you love me, keep my commands, and I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate to help you and be with you forever, the Spirit of truth. The world cannot accept him, because it neither sees him nor knows him. But you know him, for he lives with you and will be in you." Welcome to another 10 with Tom. And today we're talking about an inside job, the Holy Spirit living in us. Now, do you remember dinner without cell phones, without voicemail, texts, and total brain overload? Friends and family enjoying each other's company, totally uninterrupted by technology. Today, we are a generation that's losing the art of communication and intimacy, and it's impacting the time that we spend alone with God. Although Jesus preceded the high-tech age, he was in constant demand. Multitudes pursued him at all hours of the day and night. Nevertheless, the scriptures tell us in Mark 1:35, a verse that we were just talking about in Sunday school yesterday, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Jesus made time to be alone with his Father. It requires spiritual discipline to eliminate life's noise and racket, and to be still and listen. But if you practice it, you will discover a heart-satisfying intimacy and fellowship with God. I'd invite you to invest a few minutes today reading chapters 14 through 16 of John's Gospel, and let your spirit absorb Jesus' message. In those 3 chapters, Jesus comforts his disciples. He talks about himself being the way to the Father. He promises the disciples the Holy Spirit. He talks about the vine and the branches and our need to stay connected to Jesus. He tells the disciples that the world is going to hate them. He tells them about the work of the Holy Spirit. And then he promises them that the disciples' grief will turn to joy. Some great messages there. And as you read those verses, you'll notice Jesus wants his disciples to have peace. And he comforts them with the assurance that they're never left alone. These are blessings he wants us to share in too. So, how can we find this peace and comfort? The answer, it's an inside job, because the Holy Spirit lives in us. Jesus told his disciples, "I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate to help you and to be with you forever." You know, it might be Christianity's best-kept secret that the Holy Spirit indwells every believer and is available to provide everything we need to handle life's difficulties. The Comforter was promised by the Son, sent by the Father, and today is ours by faith. Embrace him, trust his power, experience his peace, and follow his unfailing guidance. Think about Jesus' disciples. Their hearts ached about the fact that he was leaving them, but he shared these words with them. John 16:7 says, "But very truly I tell you, it is for your good that I am going away. Unless I go away, the advocate will not come to you. But if I go, I will send him to you." So it was to their and to our advantage, because it gave them a new era of power and authority. And as Jesus told Philip in John 14:12, "Very truly I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these, because I am going to the Father." Being under new management wasn't the end, but a continuation of Christ's ministry as the Holy Spirit took the baton from Jesus' hand and placed it in the hands of the disciples. The Son would leave, but the Spirit would abide with them forever. And that was their advantage. The Spirit would enter their human bodies and live permanently in them. This is no tentative, vague connection. It's God's Spirit choosing us as His permanent dwelling place. Have you ever considered the advantage that this gives you? For example, you might awake tomorrow feeling stressed, weary, and irritated. And humanly speaking, these feelings could easily dictate the direction of your day. But because the Spirit lives in you, these things don't have to control you. Paul writes in his first letter to the church in Corinth, "Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies." Once you accept the promise of the Holy Spirit living in you by faith, you become God's temple. You can be at work, driving your children to school, walking the dog, waiting for results from the doctor, attending the funeral of a close friend, or anything else that we might do as we go about our everyday lives. And in all of that, God's Spirit is living in you. Can you see now why Jesus told the disciples that it was good for Him to leave and to send the Holy Spirit? Whatever you do, don't let this life-changing truth slide past you. In the words from the 14th chapter of the Gospel of John, which we read earlier, Jesus told His disciples, "I will pray to the Father, and He shall give you another Comforter, that He may abide with you forever." The Greek source for the word comforter is parakletos, which means one who comes alongside. And that is what the Holy Spirit does, strengthening us, encouraging us, and advising us. How awesome is that? When you feel discouraged, confused, and powerless, you have access to a wise, compassionate, competent helper who will show up to support you and to supply you with what you need. So instead of struggling to go at life alone, learn to lean on Him, to draw on His power, and trust Him to do His mighty work in you. Paul also tells us in his letter to the church in Galatia, "So I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh." When we follow the Spirit's leading, we won't always be doing the things that our evil nature wants us to. The battle of the Spirit versus the flesh is unrelenting. And our fleshly nature can never be subdued by human thinking. That just produces defeat and discouragement. So what is the answer? The Holy Spirit will tell us where to go and what to do. And here's another wonderful benefit the indwelling Holy Spirit will bring you. Paul reminds us in Romans 8:14, "For those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God." Praying and taking your best guess isn't God's way. The Holy Spirit's guidance, not our guesswork, should direct our lifestyle. So the word for you today is remember. It's an inside job. Let the Holy Spirit within you lead you and guide you. Now tomorrow, Pastor Allen will have some more thoughts on this subject, and you can find that on the Village Church at World Golf Village's Facebook page. So I hope that you'll join us for that. And of course, in closing today is indeed Memorial Day. Author Rochelle E. Goodrich observed, "On this day, take time to remember those who have fallen. But on every day after, do more. Put the freedoms they died for to greater and nobler uses." Those are wise words for us all as we remember on this Memorial Day. I hope you enjoy this day with your family and friends, no matter what your plans are. And I pray that you'll be with us again. Have a wonderful week. We love you, church, and we'll see you Friday on the Word for You today, and we'll see you this coming Sunday in worship. I love you, church.